Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make my little Amigurumi 3D whale. So what you're going to need to do is pick the colour that you want your whale to be, and white for the underside. You're going to have these little, I've got 6mm safety toy beads for the eyes. They're the little eyes like this, the toy eyes, and they have a little back to them. Let's see if I can pick one up. Like this, that just fit onto the back like so. They're a 6mm. I have a little stitch marker. Now if you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paper clip, you can use a C clip, you can use an S clip, whatever you happen to have, that will work. This is going to be a hook only design, but you are going to use your loom just to do the magic ring. I think it makes things a little bit easier to show you how we do the magic ring. Now I've decided I'm going to try the Persian colour. It's a dual tone. It's sort of got a blue and a gold colour to it. I thought that would be quite pretty to try, so I'm going to use that for my main colour, and as I said, white for the underbelly. So we're going to start by taking a single band and placing it on the peg, and we're going to wrap it round that peg once and twice. Doing that, you end up with 3 little loops on that peg, and that's what we want. We're then going to use 5 bands to make our magic ring. So with our first band, we're going to put our hook through the band on our peg and take your first of 5 and pull it through and reclaim. And you're going to take one side over the other and budge it around. You're going to take your second band, and leaving this loop on your hook, you're going to push your hook back down, grab the second band and pull it up and reclaim, and then again one over the other. So you have these 2 slip knots on your hook. Join them together by taking the one that you did first up and over, and then move things around. We're going to use our third band to do exactly the same. Up and over, and then up and over to join, and let's do the same for our fourth band, and join, and lastly our 5th band and join. Take that off your loom. You don't need your loom anymore, so let's put that out of the way. And we're going to just gently ease these little stitches around our magic ring, so it's a magic ring and not a magic semicircle. So here we have our little magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5 is actually on our hook. You're going to push your hook through that first stitch here, okay? And taking a single band, you're going to pull it through and reclaim. And you're going to do what's called a single crochet. You're going to take one over the other, and then again you're going to join them by putting the one over the other, and that's joined. We're going to put our stitch marker on that band there, and that's to mark the beginning or the end of our round. So let's get a few more bands ready. What we're going to do now is in each of these stitches around here, we're doing 2 single crochets, and that's called an increase because we're increasing the diameter of it. So we've already got 1 in this first stitch. So let's push our hook back through, and we'll do a second single crochet in there. So draw it through, one over the other, and join them together. We'll go through the second stitch, and we're going to take a single band and draw it through, one over the other, and we'll join them together like so. Now go back through that same stitch, we're on the second stitch, and take another band and pull it through, and one over the other in a single crochet and join together. The third stitch will do the same, 2 single crochets in the one stitch. So there's our first one, join it together, and here we'll do our second. And I have to say these bands are a little trickier to work with, but I think they look quite pretty. Through our fourth stitch. Oops, let's really go through our fourth stitch, let's not just pretend. There's our first single crochet, let's do our second, like so, and here's our fifth stitch, and we'll do 2 single crochets in here as well. Number 1 and number 2. So we're back at the beginning where our stitch marker shows us. We're going to put our hook through that stitch and we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to take that stitch marker out and pop it in that band, and that marks the beginning of our next round. As you can see, it looks quite pretty, doesn't it? Alright, so for this next round what we're going to do is a single crochet, which we just did, followed by an increase, which is the 2 single crochets in the 1 stitch, and then we're going to repeat that pattern, single increase, single increase. So we've done our single, so in this stitch here we're going to do an increase, and if you remember, that's 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So there's 1, let's go back through that same stitch, and here is number 2. Do a single crochet in this one, oh, these are tricky bands, and then an increase. So that's our first one, back through, one and 2, followed by a single, followed by an increase, followed by a single, and an increase, and a single, and an increase. And then we're back at the beginning and we're going to do a single crochet through that stitch and then move our stitch marker to indicate that this is the first of our next round. Like that. Let's get rid of that cat hair. That's an added bonus, there is no charge for that. So we just did that. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Well, I'm sorry, 2 single crochets followed by an increase. So 2 single crochet, well, a single crochet, a single crochet, an increase, and follow that pattern. So that was our first one. Now we do a second one here. Getting my merds fuddled. Now we do the increase. Now we do a single crochet. I don't want to say you do 2 single crochets because you might think I mean in the same stitch, but I don't. So a single crochet, and now here's the second single crochet in the next stitch. And now an increase. I should have picked easier bands to use, but I didn't really think about it, I was going on colour. And 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. So here's one, let's do another one, and an increase. Back through that same stitch. First of our single crochets, second single crochet, and an increase. One and 2. I have a feeling these are a little more difficult to use because they're a silicone band, I think, and a lot of people ask me how to stop their bands from perishing, and there's no surefire way. You can stop using air fresheners around them. Heat and sun definitely perishes them. I kept mine in Ziploc bags inside a plastic storage container and they still perished. The only sure way at this stage is using silicone, and they are more difficult to work with, but if you can persevere, at least your creations are going to last longer. So yeah, unfortunately they've got much better stretch now, but they still are a little bit difficult to work with. But that's the lowdown on it. Some people say you can spritz them with silicone based you know, like Armour All and all that sort of stuff, but really the only real way is using silicone bands. But I'm sure people are in their labs working on ways to create bands that will never perish. Not sure really if that's a good thing or not. Okay, here's our increase, and let's go for our last one, which we're going to do is a single crochet to start our next round, and we will move our stitch marker. Okay, now we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So that was number 1, and that was my cat. 2, 3, and an increase. That's our first single crochet in that stitch, and let's go back for our second. And now we do another 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. They sort of stick together, these bands a bit, don't they? So 1, 2, 3, and an increase. So our first single crochet, back for our second, and 1, 2, 3, and let's do an increase, and count another 3, 1, 2, 3, and an increase, oops, one, that was my elbow by the way, two, three, and an increase, and we'll finish off with single crochet and move our stitch marker to that new spot, like so. You see? Alright, we have one more round to do, and it's going to be 4 single crochets with an increase, and we'll do that as the pattern. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our increase. Let's count another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do an increase, that's for the first single crochet. Let's go back for the second, one, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, and we'll finish this round on our single crochet at the beginning, and we'll move our stitch marker to here, like that. At this stage we're actually going to start making the tail fin and then the little fins either side. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out because I don't really need that right this second, and get my bands ready because they're sort of all stuck together, which doesn't make it very easy to grab. And we do the tail fin first, so we're starting here. We're going to push through the next stitch, okay, and we're going to do what we call a chain. So put a single band through the stitch like this on your hook, okay. Now we're going to do a single crochet in this chain. So taking your next band, you're going to go through and reclaim, and then you're going to put one over the other and then join the original loop that you have on your hook in as well. Now in this is the chain that we just put there. Go back into that chain and you're going to grab a second band and chain it in, and you're going to grab a third band and put that in as well. You've still got that one here, okay, but you've now got 1, 2 and 3. We're going to do 4 single crochets in this top one. So grab another band and you do a single crochet like that and include that band that was on our hook. So that was 1. Go back through that top one, 2, go back through, 3, and back through one more time, 4. Alright, now in this second chain you're going to do 2 single crochets. One, join that loop in, do a second one, 2, join that loop in. In this first chain you're going to do 2, 1, join in, go back through for another one, and that's our second. And now in this hole that we have here where we did all that, we're going to push our hook through and we're going to do a slip stitch. So grab your single band, pull it through, don't reclaim, you're going to put this loop on it, and now you'll reclaim one over the other like that. Then in this next stitch we're going to do the opposite of what we just did here. So go through and we do our first chain, alright, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in this chain. So get our next band and do our first single crochet, join that loop in, so one over the other, and let's do a second single crochet, now we're going to do another chain. So go through that first chain, we're going to do a second chain, and in this second chain we do 2 single crochets. So here's our first one, there we go, join that loop in, do the second single crochet, get rid of the extra band that is there, second single crochet, and then we're going to do our third chain. So go through the second chain, grab another single band for our third chain, and in that third chain we do 4 single crochets. So grab this next band and we do 1, include the loop, back through that third chain, 2, 3, and one more, 4. Goodness gracious, sticky bands. Now we skip this second chain, alright, and we go to the first chain here and do a single crochet, like so. So here we go, it looks like the first one here, alright, and then go into your next stitch, which is here, with a single crochet. Alright, so let's put that on our hook, and you can see 1 and 2. So there is our little tail fin. We're going to come up here another couple. So we've done 1, this is 2, and these are single crochets that I'm coming up. 3 and 4. Okay, so I've come up, as you can see, from the tail 1, 2, 3 and 4, which means that on the other side 1, 2, 3 and 4 is where my other fin will finish. So I'm going to go 5 and 6, and I'm going to put my stitch marker on that 6th stitch here. Okay, so if you look, I've got from this fin here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Alright, so I'm going to start my first fin, not my tail fin, just the side fin here. I'm going to go through my next stitch. I'm going to do a chain. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in this chain. So here's my first one, up and over, join. I'm going to do a second single crochet in there, up and over, join. I'm now going to do another chain in here. So here's my chain, leave this one over here. I'm going to do 4 single crochets in this chain. So 1, up and over, include this loop here, up and over, go back through that chain, 2, 3 and 1 more, 4, and then I'm going to do 2 in this first chain, 1 and back again for a second, we want to secure this in by going back through this loop here and doing a slip stitch. So pull it through, grab it one over the other and do a slip stitch. Now we can single crochet all the way around to our stitch marker. Okay. Sometimes when you have bands that aren't sticky, it's easy to just sort of use your hook, and with a twist like this you can just move the bands over, but when they're sticky like these ones are, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm finding I'm using my fingers to move them over. The result is the same, just takes a bit longer. You work within the capacity of the bands you're using. This little whale will last a lot longer than my little pink whale. Now if you remember, we finished our fin on a slip stitch, which means to make it look even we have to start this next one on a slip stitch. Single crochet all the way around until we get to that stitch marker, single crochet, now in this 6th stitch I'm going to take my stitch marker out. We're going to do our slip stitch, so moving your finger inside the band, pull it through, do not reclaim, move this stitch onto it, now reclaim one over the other, and then in the next stitch we'll do our first chain. We'll flick the band over the other side of the office. So we have it on here. We're going to do 2 single crochets in this chain, so 1 and include this loop, go back for another one, now we do another chain in this chain, this first chain, we do our second chain, and in this second chain we're going to do 4 single crochets. Here's our first one. One, include the loop, go back, 2, oh, come here you sticky little bands, 2, 3, and 4. Then in this first one we're going to do 2, 1, and back through for another 2, and then let's single crochet to the base of the tail. 1, 2, 3, and our last one here is 4. Now we can put away our funky silicone bands and move to something that's going to be a little bit easier to work with, which is white. And what we're doing is the underbelly of our little whale is going to be white. So it's all very easy to go around where you don't have the fins, but where you have the fins it gets a little bit tricky because you have to use a bit of guesswork. What we're looking to do, and I will explain, where you have a stitch that you're going to go through, like here, you have the inside part of the stitch and the outside. See, this loop is on the outside, this loop is on the inside, so the stitch is made up of 2 loops. We're only going to go through the inside loop for this particular round. Well, that's lovely for all of these bits, but here it's going to be tricky. So we need to find where a sort of a single band looks like it might be. So for me, I'm going to try this one here, and you're kind of looking for 2 on this fin, 2 here, 2 on each of the fins. Okay, so grabbing white bands, take a single, and you're just going through 1 piece and just doing a slip knot, And then let's try, we'll go through maybe this one here, just one little loop. And I admit it is guesswork on the tail and the flipper, the fins. And then I'm going to try here, or maybe this one here. And you're just doing single crochets, and then for my next one I'm going to go here. Draw it through. You don't want these to be visible from the other side. Okay, now here you can see this is our first stitch here. I'm just going through, whereas normally I would go through both loops, I'm just going through this first loop. Alright, and I'm going to just go through that and do a single crochet. I can do this 4 times with ease because I have 4 stitches here. 2, 3, here's my 4th one, 4. You can see what's happening here. We're making this little underbelly. So now I need to find a place to do my next stitch here. Alright, so I'm going to go to this one here, just one little loop, and then I'm going to go to this one here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Now all the way around I'm just going through this inside loop, the one that's closest to me, and using these whites is a lot easier than using those dual layer bands. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of all the funky colours. I so wish that there were some more earth tone colours, fur tone colours, brown skin tones without having to sort. That would just make my day, rather than these tie-dye Halloweens and stuff. So let's go through. So we're going to continue going around in just this inside loop. You can see the outside loop there. And we're coming up to the next fin, so we'll have to just find a little band or two here. So I'm going to put my first band just there. And I'm going to put my second one just here. And back to normal. Oops, now the fun thing is when this does unravel, there's little slip knots, so it doesn't go far. You just redo it. We're back to the beginning, so I'm going to put my hook through both of those loops now and do a single crochet and now I'm going to put my stitch marker back here like that. Now this is going to be much easier to work with because I have my white bands, which are the Rainbow Loom brand, and I'm going through both of these loops. So what I'm going to do now, as I go round, I'm doing the opposite of what we started with, which was doing 2 single crochets and an increase, and we worked all the way up to 4 single crochets and an increase. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease. Well, first of all, let's go around first one time, and we're going to do single crochet all the way around, and then our next row after that will be our 4 single crochets followed by a decrease. So here we go, this is our first one of our white, and it's just going to be single crochet all the way around. Oops, broken band. Let's get rid of that. Another, oh, there we go, fix that band. Back to the beginning, single crochet, move our stitch marker. Now we're going to do the 4 single crochets followed by a decrease and use that as our pattern. This was number 1. 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. So you go through the next stitch and then go through the stitch next to it as well from the front, and you're joining these together like that. Then count another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. And we count another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's our decrease. One, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do a single crochet here on this last one that's our first one, and move my stitch marker. Now at this point I'm going to take my hook out because the stitch marker's holding it. I need to put the eyes on our little whale. Okay, so I'm just fixing up the fins here, stretching them into shape a bit. They do relax after a little while. You want to find where you want to put the eyes. Okay, so if we have this like this, this is the center, and you're probably going to go 1, 2, 3 either side and pop your eyes where you think they would fit. So maybe, and you want to do this before you close it up, maybe like that. Maybe you want them a little further, and that's fine too. Put them one there and one there, and that might look a little better as well. Turn it over, and you're going to snap the little eyes into place. I like to push down on a hard surface so I don't break my fingers, and you're doing that until you hear that click. I always make sure that I have the little click first and then push down. So that's the eyes in place. You can also do the water at this stage, which we have coming out of the top of his head here, or his body. Take 3 white bands and put them on your hook, and then have another white band on the end of your hook here. You're going to move the 3 white bands to the center and reclaim your single. Take one over the other and you will pull that tight, and then you're going to poke your hook from the inside through the middle hole there, and drag that single band back through until the knot of the white band is through the other side here. Okay, that's quite important. Now, at this stage, you can sort of grab a band here, go through the center, and grab another band the other side, grab a white band and pull through. Gently does it. Just to keep it in place, like that. And these you don't really see because they get hidden inside. You're going to take your scissors and snip, and that will be the water coming out. My daughter thinks I'm absolutely mad doing it white. She said it should be blue. I'll leave that up to you. You can fight that one with your child. Alright, we're going to now keep the little stitch marker in. We did 4 and a decrease. Now we're going to do 3 and a decrease, and this one was number 1. So 2, 3, and a decrease. And then count another 3. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. One, 2, 3, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and we're finishing on a decrease. And I'm going to put my stitch marker there, like that. Now we're doing 2 and a decrease. That was 1. So let's do 2 and a decrease. 1, 2, and a decrease. 1, 2, and a decrease. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, and a decrease. Okay, so as you can see, it's getting a little bit of a smaller hole here now, which is great. We're going to go around now, a single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. That's our single, so we're on to a decrease. I'm going to do one round of this, and then we're going to stuff it when we feel it's the right time. You don't want to wait until the hole is too small, but in the same instance you don't want the hole to be so big that you have stuffing going all over the place. To the beginning again, and I am going to stuff this. I'm going to put my stitch marker here, and I'm just going to keep it out the way by just clipping it to another little band up the top here so that it doesn't get in my way. Grabbing my stuffing, and just do a little bit at a time, because otherwise if you overstuff it you'll find that the holes of the bands get stretched too far, and it looks really odd. You have stuffing coming out all over the place. Make sure that you've got it stuffed enough, but not so that you have these great gaping pieces of bands with stuffing oozing out of them. And you do want it to sort of be a ball. A tiny bit more. Okay, I think that's good. And plus, after the fact, you can sort of squish it into shape as well. Alright, I'll get rid of that. And now we just continue with, and I'm going to take my stitch marker out, with our single crochet and decrease pattern until we get to the end. So that was a decrease. I'm going to do a single crochet, and then I'm going to follow that with a decrease. I just think it looks better than just doing decrease, decrease, decrease. And please be aware there will be stuffing. I can see it already stuck to my fingers. Single crochet, decrease. And also bear in mind that, as I've mentioned before, the bands will relax, so if they look a bit stretched, don't panic, they will relax down a bit. See, to pick that up before it unravels too much. It's never a panic really, because you can just pick the stitches up. It's just a little slip knot. I'm going to do one last decrease here. Which will be a fiddly one. There we go. I'll try and do one last decrease here. There we go. And I'll finish with a slip knot going through the two and tying off. Now at this point you're going to go through your little whale, up through to the bottom here, grab that tie off band, hook it over and pull it back into the center of your creation. And there we have, once his little flippers have all settled down and stopped curling up, there we have, I'm going to zoom back out for you. Oops, wrong, I always do that, don't I, the wrong way. There we go. There is our little whale. I really hope you like him. I think he's rather cute. There's a couple of chums here, little pink one. I think I've stuffed this one, he's a little bit rounder. This one is a little understuffed. But there we have our little whales. Hope you enjoy making. Take care. Bye bye.